The 9/11 Tribute Museum in Lower Manhattan is set to close soon unless it gets some much-needed help. The museum opened in 2006 as a community gathering space, years before the National September 11th Memorial Museum opened down at Ground Zero.
CBS 2's Kiran Dhillon explains why museum staff says the pandemic is to blame for the possible shuttering.
I was writing something when the plane hit from behind me, threw me onto my desk.
Peter Bitwinski recounts the moment his life changed forever. On 9/11, the former accounting manager rushed down from the 69th floor of the North Tower after a plane crashed into it.
I survived by less than 15 minutes, and it was important for me to remember everyone who was lost.
As a way to deal with the trauma for the past 12 years, Bitwinski has shared his story as a volunteer guide at the 9/11 Tribute Museum in Lower Manhattan.
I feel so good, whether I speak to one person, 10 people, 100 people here. I come away having been healed a little bit more, because I believe that the healing is for the rest of my life. Yeah, I had psychological counseling, but this place was always special to help me.
Bitwinski is one of many volunteers who are now devastated to learn the museum may soon close its doors due to declining admissions after the pandemic.
We were hopeful in 2021 that visitors would really start coming back in a strong way, but we rely heavily on international visitors, and those visitors are still not back here.
For CEO Jennifer Adams-Webb, the closing would be particularly painful. She lost her friend Meredith Lynn Whalen in the attack. She says the space has been a sanctuary for those impacted by the tragedy to cathartically share their stories. Adams-Webb says the museum has no endowment fund to fall back on. It relies almost entirely on admission fees to fund its operating budget. The organization is now putting out a plea for help with funding. Without it, the museum will close. 9/11 crane operator Daniel Neskes hosts 2 to 3 tours a week as a guide, detailing his time at Ground Zero. He says the thought of the museum closing is too much to bear.
I'd be heartbroken, because it's something that should never be forgotten.
Many of the volunteers say the stories of 9/11 must be passed on to the next generation, and they want to continue to be a part of doing that. In Lower Manhattan, Kiran Dhillon, CBS 2 News.
If the museum does close, most of its collection will be moved to the New York State Museum up in Albany.